I'm Raquel. I'm the social media officer here at UTSA Content Creators, and I figured we would do some content planning together today. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. So, why creators stay stuck? I had mentioned earlier that it's really easy to talk about creating content and like put all your ideas out there and have this idea of what you're going to post, but actually sitting down and knowing what you're going to edit and put out there is a lot harder than it looks. And consistency is really important. I know that's something that we've definitely talked about as a team together many times. If you're just talking about what you're going to put out, nothing's ever going to happen. You have to post. So we're going to kind of go through and figure out, what are we going to be posting? What are our accounts going to look like? And just like actually, manifesting what accounts we want for our social medias. So these are some of the things that tend to hold people back when it comes to creating content. Not having a clear niche. If you don't have an idea of some of the topics you're going to be talking about, you're never going to know what you're going to be talking about, so you're never going to post. So that's something that's really, really important. And then no posting system. If you don't have any sort of scheduling system, you're not going to go know when you're going to post. You're not going to know when you're going to have dedicated time to post or to edit or that kind of stuff. So having like a clear system set in place is really important as well. And then no measurable goals. If you're just posting just to post, that's great. But if you want to actually grow, it's really important to also keep track of your growth and what is performing well. That way you can recreate that content and continue to see growth within your channels. And then who are you? So this is going to be a little bit interactive. So if you have an account that you're willing to think about for this, and that's great. I'm going to be thinking about the UTSA Content Creator Instagram for now, just as a placeholder. But we're going to talk about what we want our content to be known for, what the dream audience is, and then why we started creating content. I think having a clear picture for those three topics is really important too, because it's really easy to get lost in what you're creating too. So if anybody wants to share for any of these three topics, I'll start with one just to kind of get the vibe going. Dream audience. I think for the UTSA content creator account, it's aspiring content creators that are at UTSA, that could be people that are majoring in communications or digital media influence like me, people that want to get started in marketing or maybe just any other form of communications, PR, that kind of thing. So that's exactly who I'm looking for. That's who I'm targeting my content to. So if anybody else wants to share for their accounts, that's cool.
Um, I'll go next. So for me, I'm gonna do why I started creating. I started creating 5 years ago, and I started originally because it was just like my way of getting all of the weird stuff that's happening in my brain out. And that's was my original intention. But then when I realized that I could actually like relate to people or make people laugh or inspire people to any capacity, that's what I started leaning more towards. Like my reason kind of shifted over the years. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's how a lot of people start too. Like they just have ideas in their head and they just want to get it out there, but they don't know how. So they just go to content and start like putting out stuff. I think that's really cool that you mentioned that. Does anybody else want to share?
I could share that I'm starting to create content. I'm literally just getting my toes in the water. Like I haven't even gotten my first podcast posted on YouTube yet, thanks to some technical difficulties that I've been facing. But I'm doing it because I want to let people know, people who are like in a similar position know that they're not alone, that, people can go through some rough times in life and still come out the other side, with a good frame of mind and just kind of give people hope and things like that. So that's why I want to create content.
Yeah, I think that's really special. I think having like that like you have a good moral ground that you're starting with, and I think that will take you far because people are going to resonate with that if you have a good message. So, thank you for sharing, Eric. Andrew, do you have anything?
Well, I'm trying to break into content creation, mostly for career reasons. Like, I want people who are like in cybersecurity, who maybe, like recruiters, people like that to like see it, or maybe even key stakeholders of companies to get influenced by what I post out there. It's like, it's like I recently did that. And it's a nice article. It's a nice article. And I don't really have much engagement on it yet, but I also don't really engage much on LinkedIn. I'm trying to kind of break that cycle. So I guess we will see what happens with that.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a hard one. I still have not. I don't participate much, but I'm trying to learn that one too. But I think it's good to like start posting on there. I've seen that works really well for people. So if you're able to do that, that's good. Professor, do you want to share anything?
Sure, I'll share. I want my content to be known for helping my students. My dream audience is my students, and I started creating content for my students. And those who have graduated, the young professionals, that's really my target audience, is those who are about to graduate, have graduated, they're looking for a job, they're trying to break into an industry. Those are the folks I want to help with my content.
Wow, students, students, students. That's good though. You have a very clear vision. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next slide.
If only I could stick to one class instead of all of them. Yes.
How many are you teaching?
Instead of being, well, that's the thing. Like one of the things we always tell people to do is to niche down. And I don't do that. I have one channel and I have all of my classes in that same channel. And some of them are very different classes. So
But they're all like in the same kind of category though, right?
they're all
Kind of.
communication classes, but
Yeah.
public relations is different from podcasting, is different from AI and personal branding, is different from advertising, is different from language communication theory, is different from persuasion. You see what I mean? It needs to be like just public relations channel. That's it. That would be a channel on its own, right? Just a podcasting channel would be a channel on its own instead of combining them all.
At least they're somewhat related. I think that's good enough for now. But then where are you now? I think also like having that starting point, like I said before, is really good. So acknowledging like the follower count that you have now, your average views, your posting frequency, so how often are you posting, and then your engagement rate, if you're able to know that. That kind of like varies per social media platform. But for the UTSA content creators, we currently have 57 followers, and I really only post like once a week on there, which I think I want to try to do a little bit more. And I think our average likes is like a little under 10, which I definitely want to boost engagement so much more on this page. So yeah, right now, when I'm thinking about growing this account, I'm looking at currently like what are we behind on? So like our follower count isn't horrible, but our engagement is really low. So when I'm creating content and I'm building my plan, I'm going to take that into consideration. So I'm going to think about the fact that, maybe I need to have more call to action things on there for people to comment more, or things for people to share with their friends, that kind of thing. So understanding your starting point will help you shape your planning. That way later on, you're creating content that actually revolves around what you're trying to grow. Because it might not just be followers, it could be the engagement rate, it could be your frequency, how often you're posting, or your views, all that kind of stuff. Okay, and then niche clarity. So as we mentioned, bringing or narrowing down your niche is very important, because if you're just like, you know what, I'm going to post about school stuff. What is school stuff? Is that how to study correctly? Is that how to pack for school correctly? Like what does that really mean? So, like I know for me, aside from the content creators at UTSA, I love makeup, I love animals, I love music. I like all of those things, and those are all, encapsulate my own personality. But I can just pick maybe one of those topics and bring my personality out through the content. So I don't have to be talking about all the things that I love to show my personality through my content. I can pick one thing and be able to, show who I am through me. It doesn't have to be through like the topic that I'm talking about. So to help kind of break it down, I have 3 different things that we can ask ourselves. So we can ask 5 things that we love to talk about. So I'll do 3 for now. Like I said, I love makeup, I love animals, and I love music. So it's 3 things that I love to talk about. And then things that I'm good at. I said 5, we'll go with 3. I feel like that's easier. So 3 things I'm good at. So for my own personal stuff, I like doing design. I love makeup. I think I'm really good at that. And I think I'm good at knowing what music is good. We'll go with that. And things that people ask me about. I know for me personally, I'm the person that all of my friends will call and say, hey, I don't know what makeup to wear, or I don't know what to do with this. So I'm the one that they call. And I've recommended so many products, and I know my friends have bought them because I have mentioned it. So somebody like that would probably be good at doing like beauty content. If, they love talking about beauty, they're good at it and people come to them asking about it, then maybe that's the niche that they need to go down. Beauty could be skincare, it could be makeup, it could be hair. You know, you might have like your own category within beauty. So if you're asking yourself those three things, what you love talking about, what you're good at, and what people ask you about, if you can find something that fits into all three, that's a really great niche. That could be, you know, something that you could go down, and then you could even narrow it down from there as well. So that's some advice. If anybody wants to do it, go for it. I'll leave some time for you all to think. Okay, does anybody want to share before I move on? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next
Well,
slide.
I mean, oh, maybe I would say 5 things I'm good at. Well, I'm good at breaking things down into terms that people can kind of understand, down to their level. And I mean, some things people ask me about. I mean, I wear a lot of hats, but whenever I'm doing like a tech thing, you know, people ask me, "What exactly are you doing? Like, what's exactly the issue? Like, what's the timeline to get back up? Things like that." And I also get asked about fashion advice. I'm kind of in that sphere, and I actually like talking about fashion a little bit. I actually like talking about it a little bit, and I'm also good at fashion a little bit. It's like I know how to online shop for fashion without failure. I can buy something online and it always fits 100% of the time. It's like there's no such thing as error there. It's because I perfected the technique that you have to do it. It's not exactly 5 things, but I covered all 3 categories, so I figured, you know, good enough.
Yeah, so then you could even do like fashion stuff and talk about like how to make it easier to like online shop and not maybe like spend as much, or how to not overconsume. I've seen so many videos like that too about like overconsumption and stuff when it comes to fashion. So if you do choose fashion, there's so many things that you could do within that overall category. But yeah, thank you, Andrew. Does anybody else want to share? Okay, I'll move on to the next slide then. Okay, niche statement. So now that we've looked at those 3 different things, we can make an actual statement as far as what our niche is going to be. So one way you could do this is by saying, I create content about blank for blank to help them blank. So that also makes you think about like your audience and your goal that we had talked about at the start, like what is the reason that you're even making content in the first place. And then, you know, we have your niche in there too. So one example I have is I create college productivity content for overwhelmed students to help them stay consistent and motivated. So we have the audience there, which is the overwhelmed students, and then we also have the goal, which is to help people stay consistent and motivated. So creating community through that, through helping people. And then the content itself would be the college productivity content. So that's just an example there for y'all. But you can use this, you can apply this to whatever niche that you're gonna, just whatever niche you decide to do. I'll move it on to the next one. Account audit. So if you actually do figure out your niche and everything and you do want to get started with this, it's really important to go through and make sure you have all of your basics covered before you do start posting content. So make sure that your bio actually explains what you're going to do. For the UTSA Content Creator one, we have that we're an online UTSA student organization empowering creators to explore content creation strategies, multimedia storytelling, and personal branding. So that very clearly explains the niche, it explains our purpose, and also our audience, which is students, and then also empowering creators, like that kind of thing. That literally embodies the statement that we had talked about before, the niche statement. And then also high quality profile picture. You don't want to just have like a photo of the sunset or whatever. I know that that looks great maybe on your feed, but it's maybe not a good idea for a profile photo. You have to think about also like if you were to post on like your Instagram notes. I'm talking specifically about Instagram for today, or at least that's what I'm narrowing in on. But this applies to a lot of social medias too. If you post on your Instagram notes and you know, it has a little photo of a sunset, they're not going to be able to have any sort of personality formed from that. They want, if you're a brand or you're a club like we are, you want a photo of your logo. That way there's a clear identifier. Every time they see you, they know who you are. It establishes, you know, your community, your branding, everything like that. So if you're an influencer, if you're a beauty influencer, you want to have a really good headshot as your profile picture. You want people to recognize that profile photo no matter what platform. It has to work across the board. And then pinned post aligned. We don't have any on ours currently. That's something we should probably work on. But if you're a brand, you're going to want to have a pinned post that shows who you are as a brand. So I've seen like some companies or bands even show, well, we'll go with bands for now. That might be a good one to help you visualize. Like a band might have their tour there, shows community, it shows that they're where to find them, all that stuff. And then they'll maybe have a video of when they've performed, which also shows community. And then maybe their album, and they'll have a bio or a description in that post of their album release talking about why they made that album, what that album means to them. So it gives you that niche of like, here's this is what we're creating for, who we're creating for, here's why, and here's what we're trying to do. That covers all of it. But yeah, you can do the same thing if you're an influencer, if you're a brand, anything. You're going to want to make sure that the things that you have pinned align to that niche and to that like niche statement that we talked about before. And then also, if you have highlights on your page, make sure that they're clean. You don't want to have just a bunch of random stuff there. I would say have a very consistent photo going through. So I've seen there's a hairstylist that I follow that she has like buttons as a cover for each of her highlights. And then all of the names, the way that she types them out or whatever emojis she uses are consistent across the board. So there's a clear aesthetic there. There's clear branding. That's also really important if you're an influencer, a band, a club, anything like that. It has to be consistent. And then grid cohesive. If we look at the UTSA Content Creators, this is something I've just recently started paying attention to. I want to incorporate UTSA Orange, right? So if I use that in similar fonts throughout, we're going to have a consistent grid. And I want to use minimal design work too, which is also going to help us stay consistent throughout our grid. So you want to make sure everything's consistent, have clear branding, really important for anything that you're doing. And then another thing that we can do today to help us get started is a 2-week content plan. Now that we have our niche, we know who we're talking to, what we're going to be talking about, it's time to actually figure out what are we going to post and when. And for this example I have on the screen, it's not exact because it's not realistic to be posting every single day. Consistency is important, but posting every single day, like a full edited video, is not realistic for a lot of people, especially us as we're students. We've got other things we're worried about. We got work, we got school, we got other things. So it's really important to, pick one day out of the month to say, okay, I'm going to plan out the next 2 weeks and I'm going to, I'm going to plan this day to just film and I'm going to edit. I'm going to plan and schedule everything out, which Instagram and TikTok, all of these things have schedulers that you can schedule out your content. So it'll be on there. You can do all your descriptions, put your covers, everything on there, and then it'll just post itself throughout the week. So I recommend doing that. That's been really helpful. I do the content creation for Music, which is a local music store, and that has been really helpful scheduling out content. I pick one day. Every Thursday I go in for a couple hours. I film, I edit, I draft everything up, and then I post it throughout the week. So that's something you can totally implement as an influencer or a podcaster or whatever you want to be. Schedule maybe one day, plan everything out, and then pick one day to just film, edit, knock everything out. That way you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be stressing about it. You already have content. You already have everything going for you. And then lastly, you're not doing this alone. We have this club for a reason. If you ever need any support, we're here for you. We know it can be really, really hard to, come up with the content ideas or to know what's actually being successful. Maybe the engagement looks good, but the followers doesn't look good. How can I grow? If you need help with that, we have our Share Anything tab that you can share literally anything on or anything about. So you can always share that there and we can give you feedback. During our meetings, you can share your content and we can give you feedback as well. It's really important to have community while you're doing this because if you've got a bunch of other things you're worrying about, this might feel like a daunting task creating content. So I think having a good community of people to help back you up is really important, and having the support system. So yeah, we're here for you if you guys want to create content and you're maybe not sure what to post. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Hopefully you guys have some good content ideas after all of this and have an idea of what you're going to post or maybe what you want your account to look like.